Hello and welcome, everyone. This is John Yanofsky. I'm the director of Kupperberg Center for the Arts, and so glad you have joined us for our post-show Q&A. How about a big virtual round of applause for Miss Wen-Ting Wu? Unbelievable, unbelievable concert. Now, this is part of our ongoing series called Music Makers, an alumni concert series where we feature and focus alumni and graduates of the Aaron Copland School of Music at Queens College. And tonight was a true pleasure and honor to have this absolutely an amazing concert. And at this time, I'm very excited to bring it to the broadcast studio for a conversation with the artist and the leader herself, Miss Wen-Ting Wu. Welcome, Wen-Ting.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. That was absolutely a fantastic concert. It was just so much fun to be there watching. It definitely felt like you guys were having fun up on the bandstand as well.
Yes, definitely.
So I'm curious. I mean, I wonder if you just kind of take a minute and kind of reintroduce the musicians who shared the stage with you, and maybe just kind of is that your working band? Is that how you kind of put together that group? And also, always curious if any of them are also Aaron Copland School of Music alums.
Oh, so the trumpet player in the band, Anton Dry, he's also a Queens College alumni, but he went to Queens College maybe a while ago.
Well, you don't have to date them. That's okay.
Yes. But he was actually in the program, Aaron Copeland School of Music and the jazz program. He was there while Mr. Jimmy Heath was still was the director over there. Yeah,
Mm.
so he definitely, I mean, the program now it's still awesome. I had a really great time during my time in Aaron Copland School of Music. But yeah, my band members. So the trumpet players is Anton Dry and piano player Anthony Wansey and saxophone player Justin Jones and bass player Malik McLaurin. So I actually play with all of them separately with different band leaders. And so because I am a drummer, so most of the time my work it's kind of I am playing as a sideman, which is like I am a drummer who's hired by another band leader. But I have my own compositions too, so I was thinking like maybe I want to put together a band and just so I can hear how my songs sound like. But I actually so I met them separately in different occasions. Like Wansi, like the piano player Wansi, I played with him together with a singer before, and Anton like hired me to play in his band before as a drummer. And Justin and Malik and I, we've been playing together several times with different band leaders too, like a lot of times. So I was just like, they're like really nice people, cool people. They can play. So I'm just like, hey guys, got a gig coming up.
Oh, that's awesome. No, it's really amazing communication happening amongst the musicians. It's always as an audience member the thing to kind of pick up and watch of how you each are really having a dialogue through your playing and supporting each other, challenging each other, injecting a sense of humor at times. It's just throughout this series, we've been so blessed with artists like yourself coming on and presenting their own original music, which is just as a fan, is just really just so inspiring. So I was wondering if you could kind of describe your own compositional process and how you approach and put together your songs and how your songs come together.
Mm. So I guess how I compose, I guess everybody's different, but I usually start with a theme. And that theme is usually if I have any particular thoughts on any topic or just based on my personal experience, I have some feelings about something and I really wanted to put it into a song. So it's never like okay, let me sit down and just write a song. It's never like that. It's always I have something to say, and I kind of have like a picture of what I trying to say and how that feels, and I just try to put them into the language of music. So that's the most challenging part for me, actually, just to sit down and figure out what's really in my head and what I'm hearing, like what chord is that and what sound. But I guess the original picture of each sound, it's always very clear, like the message and the feelings behind it. It's always very clear. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And I'm curious, like, was there one song that you first heard that made you decide I want to play this music, this music of jazz?
I uh, Let me think. I can't really remember like an exact song, but definitely the first time I heard some like jazz music, especially how those jazz drummer play, I was very surprised because I wasn't so familiar with I didn't grow up listening to jazz, you know. I used to play different style of music like funk music or like indie rock music. I used to have like a rock band kind of in back in high school. That was my first band. So when I first heard jazz, I was like, what are they doing? Like especially the drumming part. I was really inspired and surprised like how much freedom they had in this approach on the drum set, you know, and the spirit too. Like definitely the spirit is the first because I didn't really understand any language of jazz, but the spirit part I definitely feel it like here. So that's how I got into jazz and like, oh, I really wanted to figure out what they're doing and how are they able to do that.
To begin to unpack that musical box to be able
Mm-hmm.
to put it back together for yourself. Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, we're going to pull in a question from some of our folks at home. I see there is a Facebook question from Claire Sedora, who asks, "How do you actually?" Let's do the other one, Andreas. I like the "How do you balance life, work, and musicianship?" This is something I think we're all doing. We're all trying to figure it out. We're all doing it now, so much of it
Yeah,
in our homes, but always an important question to answer for ourselves. So how do you approach that?
that is deep. I mean, it's for me, my first thought of this question is for me, music is life. Like music, it's so related to at least for me, like my life and everybody's life, you know. Music it's not just like an art form you listen to while you're like, oh, let me sit down and listen to some music. It's not like that. It's very related to our personal stories, things that we're going through, or just what inspires you, stuff like that. So me being a musician, for me, it's a job, yes, but it's like a lifestyle. So music, it's so like into my life. I don't really know how to explain that, but I do wanted to say that it took me a while to figure out how to live a life, how to find a good balance living as a professional working musician, you know? Like doing gigs, how to get gigs and like the business part, I guess. And you know, because music is so much in my life, how I can sometimes take a little break from it, you know, since it's like my work. So yeah, it's hard to like put it into details, but it's kind of like navigate through those different things. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that part of the Aaron Copland School of Music kind of track is also to introduce musicians like yourself to the business side and kind of how to kind of chart a career professionally. And I was just curious, like, what were some of your other kind of major musical or artistic takeaways from your time at Queens College with, the other students in Aaron Copland School of Music?
Mm. Um, this is also hard to answer because I learned so many things there. So my professor, um, um, I guess not my professor, like my drum teacher there was Dennis McCraw, and I've learned so much from him. He really taught me to how to a live a life, or like to have a healthy mindset and to function as a working musician too. So, sometimes musicians, we get so caught up in our mind and like, oh my God, this doesn't sound good, blah 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 blah. How does this people think of me? How does those people think about my songs? Stuff like that. But he really like helped me to build a very healthy mindset and like a lot of ways to view things and other people too, to like have a positive um attitude towards music and like the work scene, especially in New York. Here it's like very competitive to live as a musician. So, but yeah, so with that, and like it's just in general, I really love all the professors there. Professor Antonio Hart, Professor Michael Mossman, Professor Tim Amarcus, Professor David Berkman. They all like taught me so much, and they really treat students very nicely too. Like they're not just like, oh, I'm here to teach and bye. They really share their own experiences, and you can see that they really want us to do good in our career in the future.
Yeah, I mean, there's one thing to go off and be a professional musician, professional artist. There's another thing to go off and be a professional artist in New York City. There's just a whole other level of demands,
Definitely.
but it also raises your game, and you can play with incredible musicians like your bandmates. I mean, and I'm just curious in terms of, do you see yourself staying in New York? Where do you, if you were to imagine yourself 10 years from now, like where would you be, and kind of what does your music sound like? Is it different? Is it the same? Like, give us a little glimpse into that sense of your future.
Mm, in 10 years, wow. Yeah, that's actually I also constantly think about this question sometimes, but it's still hard, to be honest, it's still hard for me to come up like with a really clear vision or answer. But one thing I know, it's like at least for now, staying in New York, it's like um I don't know how to explain it, but like it's just being around different masters in this music and just checking out those live shows, like it really inspires me. And like I have like some chances to play with some really good musicians too. And just that feeling, it's like it's it grabs you. It's kind of like New York life, it's hard. Yes, it's tough, of course, but it's just moments like that. It just makes me still wants to stay here for I don't know how long, but for now I wanted to like try to stay here and find as many possibilities I can and work with different people too.
That's great. We have another question coming in from Claire Sadora from Facebook, who asks, could you talk about your experiences as a musician in Taiwan and New York, and what are the differences?
Oh, um, I mean, it's like I was mentioning, New York, it's very competitive. Like as a musician, there's so many great musicians living here in New York. And so I guess that's one thing. And another thing, it's like Taiwan has like a smaller community of music, And so basically it's easy to meet people and know other people. And Taiwanese are like super nice and chill too, you know? So I'm not like saying myself, but I'm usually nice and chill too. And so I guess it's like it's always a nice and like with a good vibe happening working in Taiwan. But here in New York, I would say it's more diverse, and there's many more different personalities here too. So I guess it's like sometimes you have to learn how to work with different band leaders and read the room, read the people a little bit more, you know. It's a little more diverse in New York. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you add another layer of Queens on that, which is the most
Mm.
diverse, place on the globe, and that's I know a source of inspiration for a lot of folks. I'm just curious for yourself, like where do you draw inspiration for? Is it other art forms, food, particular musicians? Just curious, kind of where you go when you need that injection of inspiration when you're writing music or playing music.
Hmm. Basically everything. It's everything because like I am pretty curious to a lot of different stuff. So I like to go out, I like to read the news, I like to meet new people, to hear their stories. I like to go to the museum, and I like to talk to different people too, you know. So that part is definitely because like I feel like music it's like the most important part is like the humanity side of it, and it's music. That's why music, that's why we love music, you know, because like it connects everybody together, and sometimes you feel like, oh, you can relate it to this because it's the mutual feeling that everybody has experienced before. So I feel like humanity, it's definitely a big part of why I do music. So I love to like draw inspiration from just people around me or people I just met. But musically, yes, just live shows, you know, talking to the masters who are really good at those things, and just hearing their thoughts is so inspiring too. It's not just about music, you know. I was just talking to Victor Lewis, a great, great drummer. I love his playing, and sometimes he will share with me some of his experiences, like how he see things, you know, not just things about music. It's like life, you know, and that just, like I said, like the relationship between music and life is so close. You kind of just translate that really effort. I mean, it takes a little effort because, like, you know, theory stuff like that. But I guess like spiritually, it's not that hard for me. The gap between music and life and inspiration. Yeah.
No, that's great. That's a beautiful sentiment.
Mm.
And it was great to see you on stage with your fellow musicians. I know that during this pandemic, which now we're coming up to a year in New York, where we were pretty
Wow.
much at home, that must have been like a beautiful and rare occurrence. Was that the first time you were like back in a physical space performing with other musicians in that way?
Um, Not really like the first time, but definitely my gig has reduced a lot due to the COVID. But I've been doing some gig as assignment at different jazz club, like Smalls, and some small restaurants and cafe outdoors sitting place spaces. So it's not really the first time, but I would say it's the first time for me to play with my band during the pandemic. Wow, now I think about it. Yes.
That's great. Yeah, and we have a great comment coming in from one of our YouTube folks from the next Festival of Emerging Artists. Who kind of stole my question. This is why I'm going to bring it in, which is awesome. Which is, where would you want to play first when the world opens back up? course, the accolade of great work. Always got to
Oh, thank
give
you.
props where they're due.
Thanks. Wow, that is a hard question. Where will I want to play first? I don't really have like a specific place that I wanted to play in. Of course, ideally, jazz festivals or like, great jazz clubs, that would be the best. But I mean, just in general, playing in front of real people, like real audiences, that just already makes my life a lot better. Cause like I played, um, like in a small cafe. I think it was a month ago with my friend, and it's like, when usually before COVID, small cafe gigs are like, it's nice. We get to play, but it's not that ideal. But just like being there and watching people walking by and like giving us like that look, like, it's kind of like music just light up their days, and then they were like grooving, like dancing a bit with it. That just makes my life much, much happier.
Amen to that. I think that that person captured what we're all feeling. I think we're all very excited to be back in a room, to feel that interaction and that conversation happen in person. So fantastic. And are there other projects or things that you're working on that you want to mention, or gigs coming up that people can find out more about what's happening in the Wen-Ting Wu world?
um, so there's gonna be another concert that I'll be doing. It's a virtual concert coming out, I guess, next month, and it's not like very sure yet, but you can always find those information on my website and social media, stuff like that. Oh, okay. So my my website is so professional. My website, it's wentingwumusic.com. And my Facebook, it's Wen-Ting Wu. You can just type in Wen dash Ting Wu and you'll find me. And my Instagram, it's Wen-Ting Ting. That's like the right symbol. But you can just also like search for Wen-Ting Wu. I think my account will pop up. So that's one virtual concert will be out, featuring more of my original tunes and other tunes too. And I did like a record, like an album for ESP Disc. That's a very historical record label in New York. They've been here for a long, long time. So that trio project I did for them, it's going to come out this year too. So stay tuned for that.
That's awesome, and definitely check back to the website for all updates and future projects. And my last question, I'm just curious of whether all your gigs do you play with your shoes off?
Not all of them. Depends on the weather, I guess. But playing with shoes off, definitely. Like my feet feels the pedal more, so I can like dance with the pedal a little more better. But not every stage that I can play with my shoes off, but if I get a chance, I will.
Yeah, well, you were home. You were that concert, for those who might have missed it, was recorded on the stage of the La Frac Concert Hall on the campus of Queens College and the Aaron Copland School of Music. So it was great to have you back home. I'm sure you felt that love and energy from the spaces are charged places. So I'm sure that contributed to that performance. So Wen-Ting, it's really just been an absolute pleasure meeting you and getting introduced to your music. I know that I speak on behalf of all of my colleagues at Kupperberg, just how proud we are of the work that you and other graduates of Aaron Copland School of Music are doing. Absolutely keep up the good work and stay inspired and keep your shoes off whatever is working. And so for all of you at home, we do hope that you enjoyed today's program. We'll continue to participate and support the performing arts, even in a virtual space, through Kupperberg Center's winter and spring season. You can always check back to our website, kupferbergcenter.org for a complete listing. Make your reservations. We also appreciate some of the paid tickets that people have purchased for this and other programs, letting us know that you believe and support the work that we're doing and giving artists an opportunity to continue to perform. So the Music Makers will continue. We have a couple more programs. The next one featuring another Aaron Copland School of Music alum, pianist Oscar Perez, will be happening on Tuesday, March 16th at 7 p.m. You can tune back right here at this channel. But most importantly, I really want to thank Wen-Ting. I want to thank our producers in the back, Teresa Lenz and Andreas Kamal, always for your expertise and help. And of course, all of you at home, without whom these programs just wouldn't be possible. So everyone, we'll hope to see you again. Please stay safe. And thank you again, Wen-Ting, for your amazing music. You guys have a
Thank
good night.
you.